Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Francis over here today. Mastersabbi. Mastersabbi Enterprises consists of Mastersabbi Homes, Mastersabbi Farms, and of course we do music on the side, and a few other things. Today's video I want to cover a topic, a question that I get asked all the time. How much does it really cost to build a home in Sierra Leone? For starters, well, you want to think first, okay, what kind of home am I trying to build, right? Am I trying to build a modern home? How many bedrooms? What styles? What design? What are the amenities that I'm going to have in this home that I'm trying to build? So you have to ask yourself all those questions.
Mastersabbi come, CLP music. Sabbi yourself, let us sabbi yourself. Sabbi yourself, let us sabbi yourself. Let us sabbi yourself. Slow cruise on the road, make we enjoy the ride. Not force the mango, if you're ready, go right beside. Life not leggy, if you jump from 1 to 5. You go spoil the engine, the feelings go must collide. Yeah.
After you ask these questions, it's simple. After you ask yourself the questions, from those answers that you're giving yourself is how you're going to estimate what your home might cost you. You understand? For my home, for example, when I started building it, I knew I wanted a modern home. You know, I wanted it to be a 2-bedroom first. But as I plan, which took about 6 months to almost a year of planning, how many bedrooms, what type of house I was going to build, what story I was going to tell, what were the reasons for me building this house. After I asked myself all these questions, I ended up doing a 3 bedrooms home with 2 rooftops. And then most of the amenities that I have there, I wanted the home to be a modern home and a smart home. You understand? I wanted it to be a show house, a resume to my fellow diasporans who are trying to build back home, to believe that it's doable. You can do it. You understand? So you have to have all this in consideration when you think of planning and building a home in Sierra Leone, especially if it's a modern home. A regular home, you can just be like, all right, let's just get cement, you know, sand, stones, and build. But when you're building a modern home, you have to plan yourself ahead of time. How much does it really cost to build a house in Sierra Leone in 2025? This is a question I get asked all the time, especially since I built my house. I've been having this question asked to me so many times, and today I want to answer that question. So, for example, let's say you're talking about a basic 2-bedroom home, or a mid-range 3-bedroom home, or a luxury home, you know, something luxury with imported materials. How much is it going to cost you, you understand, in 2025 to build? Sourcing local materials or importing materials from overseas. It can be Turkey for like your furnitures. It can be the US, the UK for your appliances and all that stuff. So I just want to talk a little bit of on that today. For a basic 2-bedroom home in Sierra Leone, you're sourcing materials, you're you're getting local labor. You understand? You're going to estimate to build that home anywhere from 20K to 60K. You understand? From 20,000 US dollars to 60,000 US dollars in 2025. Now, we're talking just a basic 2-bedroom mid-range home. You understand? To build that in Sierra Leone in 2025. Materials are getting higher there. They're getting high up, you know, your cement, your rod, your sand, your stones. You know, these things are getting expensive by the day, by the year. So you have to think about that before starting any of your building projects in Sierra Leone. 3-bedroom, mid-range modern home. You understand? Now you're thinking you're starting to go up there. You understand? For your basic 3-bedroom, mid-range modern home. You understand? Again, no interior finishes, no importation of any materials. you're looking at 40K to 80K. You understand? To build a 3-bedroom home in Sierra Leone in 2025. You have to look at, starting range from 40,000 US dollars to 80,000 US dollars. It can be more, it can be less. But if you're talking a luxurious home, now it can be a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. If you're talking about building a luxury home in Sierra Leone in 2025, you're going to start thinking anywhere from 40, 50 to 100, 120 when you're thinking 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom luxury home with imported good. Now we're talking smart home. You have your range, you have your countertops, they're finished, your tilings, everything is modern looking, lighting, everything. You have to start thinking the higher 60,000 US dollars all the way to 120,000 US dollars to build you a modern luxury home in Sierra Leone in 2025. So you have to get that in mind. So like now let's talk about the main places that you're going to be spending a lot of money. These places are your site prep and the foundation to begin with. You understand? Your site prep, for example, let's say the location of your land, there's a lot of stumps, there's a lot of like bush, it's slope. So you have to think of all that. Do we need just local labor, or are we going to use machinery to clear that land and prepare it for the foundation? You have to think about that. And also, if the land is slope, if it is on a hill, it's going to cost you more money because you're going to use more materials. The major materials during your site prep and your foundation are going to be your cement, your rods, your blocks. You understand? Your stones, your ball stones, lumber. You're going to use a lot of boards to do like your foundations. You understand? Plywoods, and bigger companies have all these metal blocks that they use to build your retaining walls for your home. And this is a one flat that we're talking about. You understand? Most of the materials you're going to be using there are going to be your cement, your rods, which are the rebars that you're going to use to do your foundation, to tie your pillars and all that stuff. That good stuff. So, and your granite stone, your bald stones, you understand? And of course, you're going to use, in some cases, you will be buying a lot of dirt to do your backfilling. So these are some of the materials that you're going to be using during preparation and foundation. And they can be costly. You understand? So get that at the back of your mind when you're working, when you're building in 2025 in Sierra Leone. Labor, right? You have to source local labor to save money. And then also, of course, you have to think of like hiring a company, a team that will take care of your project. Sometimes if you hand over your project to a company, the company will hire these local laborers to do like jobs like digging a foundation. If you don't need machinery to do that, they can use local labor to dig that for you. And then concrete mixing, if you don't have the concrete trucks to mix your concrete, you understand, if the company does not have that, they have to source local labor to do that. And usually like pouring a slab, they will use local labor. So that also you have to consider that, hey, when I'm building a house, it's going to involve a lot of labor work, a lot of professional work as well, especially if you're trying to get a unique building, you're getting a durable, you understand, a modern, a safe home, because a home is supposed to be a place that is safe for you. You don't want to build a house and then you're sleeping with one eye open. You don't want that. So these are things you think of when you're building in 2025. Some can be costly and some can be less. And remember, when you're building a home, sometimes if you go with cheaper labor, if you go the cheaper way, it's going to be expensive for you in the long run. So I always advise clients or myself, when I build, I don't go for cheap. You understand? Because I want, when I build my home in the next 50 years, I don't want to be worried about that home. I can worry about maybe painting or maybe changing the roof every 25 to 30, but I don't want to be thinking about, wall is cracked over there, like the foundation, it needs to be repaired. And no, no, no. When you're building, take these things into consideration. Quality materials only when you're building your home. 2025, 2026, not go with cheap. Let's go with the best option that is out there to make sure when we build our houses, they are going to stand the weather condition, the harsh weather conditions that we have. We have a rainy season. That rainy season usually is the one season, the one weather strike that we have there that's still destroying a lot of homes. It shouldn't be that way. So please, when you're building your home, make sure you talk to a professional. Make sure you talk to an architect. Make sure you talk to a company, a team that seems to know what they're doing. So that way you can save you money in the long run. Another major place that you're going to spend a lot of money is going to be your roofing. You understand? Your roofing and your ceiling. These are going to cost you some money. When you're roofing, you have to think of the metal sheets. Some people do like flat roofs, which is going to use concrete and rebars also. So it's going to be costly. If you check my home, there is 2 flat roofs. You understand that I'm utilizing. I have a flat roof that is covered with a canopy where we're going to have a bar. It's for like a chilling, relaxation, and a bar. And then we have another roof right on top. That's going to be like for your coffee, like sip your wine and just relax, have a conversation, watch the sunset. If you wake up in the morning, you can walk out seeing the sunrise. So you think of all, which kind of roofing system that you want, and what type of materials are going to be used for that roofing. Do your research and talk to a company, talk to a professional so they give you options. I see in Sierra Leone, we have in Africa, a lot of people like building with this roof. It's not the only roof that is there. You understand? There are flat roofs. There are different kind of roofing patterns that you can create. There are hidden roofs. You understand, that you can create to make your house look more modern. Sometimes you don't even have to like do. You can use metal roof and make it hidden and make it look like a flat roof. Super modern, super cool. You still have the metal roofs, you understand? And you can use shingles, you can use thatch roof. These are things that materials that are going to cost you money when you're building a house. And the other one is going to be your finishing. The finishing is one of the one of the fun phases in building a house, and expensive. Because now when you're finishing, this is where everything comes together. This is where the home that you've been working on, that skeleton, this is where it's coming to life. This is where the wow factor needs to be at. You understand? So finishings are going to be like your windows, big windows, natural lights coming in, your big doors, safe doors, paint. Now, do you want a paint that's going to be staining, like concrete is bleeding through, or do you want a paint that's going to be stain proof, a paint that's going to be that's going to be lasting you, weatherproof, you understand? A paint that you can wash, a paint that you can just wipe the dirt off, especially if you have kids. So you have to think of all these things. What type of paints are you willing to use? And also, just so you know, you have to do your research before buying your paint. Sometimes you just be like, oh, it's paint, but no, you have to do your research, because when you're shopping for paint, just remember that there is wood paint, paint for your metals, there is paint for plastic, there's paint for your roof, so you have to know that, okay, I want a concrete based paint, paint that I can use to paint stucco or concrete. You understand? Before, you don't just buy a regular paint just because it say paint. So make sure you work with a professional before buying your paint, and make sure you work with a designer, maybe an interior designer or exterior designer. Talk to professionals, so that way you don't just spend all this money to build the house and there is no wow factor when you're finished. When I was building my house in the beginning stages, you couldn't tell what it was going to be. A lot of people have different ways. There have been people that ask me, is it a studio? Is it a bank? You understand? Because it stands out. When you're building a house, make sure you think these things throughout your building process. Be involved. Stay in touch with your builders, with professionals, ask questions, do research. The other things is your tile. Tile is gonna cost you a lot of money. Your amenities, your fixtures, plumbing at the end, your bathrooms, they're gonna cost you money during these finished stages. What type of ceiling are you trying to get? Is it just a regular ceiling with like plywood? Are you trying to get a POP ceiling that is more, modified to your taste and design and luxurious? Or are you getting gypsum board? Are you getting just regular wood? What kind of lightings are you going to be using at this house? So you think about all those things. This is where usually the pricing range when you're building a modern home, because a regular house, you can just go put bricks, this, that, plaster it, and forget about it. But when you're building a modern home, you have to have all these things at the back of your mind before even hitting the ground. And then while you're building, also always refer back to your plan. Start thinking, how do I want this? How do I want this paint to come? Play around. Like now it's easy. There's a lot of like apps out there that you can just upload your plan and have different paints just to see what this is going to look like. You understand? Apply different color paints, play around with it to see what this is, what your house is going to look like in real time. I don't know if I mentioned electrical work. Electrical finishes, they're gonna cost you a lot of money, like your electrical hookups. Sometimes if the location that you're building does not have electricity yet, you have to buy poles, you have to buy cables. Cables are expensive. The wiring is gonna cost you a lot of money. Your lighting fixtures, that also. Make sure your lighting tells stories. Make sure you don't just put bulbs because you feel like it. Do your research, try things out, plan it out. Landscaping is going to cost you some money also. Don't just build and then okay, but hear me out, please. Africa, when you're doing your finishes, please, green is beautiful. I'm tired of seeing the interlocking blocks. I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired of seeing them. It's beautiful to use interlocking blocks for your roadways, your pathways and stuff, but you don't have to use it in the whole compound. It just makes it dry, empty. There's no air to breathe. And mind you, a lot of the greens you plant brings fresh air in the house. So please, when you're building your house, think about it. I know a lot of people are like, oh, we're trying to avoid the mud. Build pathways. Hire somebody that's actually a landscaper that can give you different ideas. You're like, hey, do you want it to be this way? Do you want your driveway to look this way and that way and this way and that way? Sometimes we don't even have 5 cars. We're going to like pave the whole compound for like 10 cars. Your finishings are gonna cost you some money. That's all gonna add up. But again, we're building for the future. We're building for generations. We're building for years and years to come. You understand? We're not building just to like demolish. So you spend for quality and then you have quality in return. Do poor quality and then it's gonna be expensive for you in the long run. All right, some things, some hidden costs that you have to have in mind also, that I think a lot of builders or homeowners are going to overlook in the beginning stages. Number one, I'm going to say transportation of materials. These are some hidden costs that a lot of builders or homeowners, clients are going to overlook. So please, when you're working with any client, these are the things that I want you to think of, you understand? And that's going to be transportation of materials. Transportation of materials, don't forget that one, because you'll probably be budgeting and everything and you forget that, hey, we're going to be transporting the materials, you understand? And also the other one that you have to think about is water access. Water access to your construction site. So you have to have that at the back of your mind also, like, hey, how are we going to have water, you understand, to get my job done? A lot of people are good usually when they have a plot of land, they will build a water well or borehole. So that's fine. But if you're building, you don't have a borehole, you don't have any water well, think of water access and then add that to your budget, please. One more thing there is going to be the permits, the building permits and approval. Please do not overlook that one. What I've seen lately, it's so sad because in Africa, there's a lot of homes that are being built. A lot of people put a lot of money after building their homes just for the government to come and demolish it. It's very sad. So make sure before you start building your 50, 60, 100,000 home, $200,000 home or pounds home, before you start building that home, please take your permits, make sure your land documents are okay, the stamps are there, hire you a lawyer, so that way you're aware, you're informed in case you're missing anything, so you know what's going on. Now I know sometimes politics do play some role in these things, but it's better safe than sorry. Always make sure the little things, double check before doing any move, making any move. So permits and approvals, and then your land documents, make sure there's stamps, the witnesses, the landowners, everybody's signature is there. So please, 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 I emphasize, do not just build feeling like, okay, it's Africa, it's easy, I can just do what I want to do. Let's follow the law and make sure we're doing the right thing so that way our money is safe, our investment is safe. Let's talk about a few ways you can reduce cost without sacrificing quality. And that's going to be building in phases. Make sure you're building in phases. I know a lot of us just have our 9 to 5s. We don't have the money sitting, in our bank account. But just make sure you're building in phases. For my home, it took me 3.5 years, almost 4 years. And I'm at 99% because I still have to install my solar water system. I need one more pump, so that way I have like free flow of water, and I need a borehole installed. Make sure you build in phases, don't rush it, it takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Take time, talk to the team that you're working with. Take your time, build it at your pace. Just make sure you're communicating, that you're open, with your company, so that way they understand, they see where you're coming from when you're building. You understand? So building phases, don't rush it. You understand? And then the other way is sourcing materials, directly. If you have a trustworthy foreman, make sure you source the materials. For example, when I was building, I made sure, number one, I had somebody where my team was going to just grab materials, and then he would just send me the invoice, and also for like your doors and stuff, you can always find a local carpenter that is trusty. Now, most of our brothers in Sierra Leone, you can be trusting them with time. You can trust a lot of people, but timing, that's what I'm talking about. For me as a company, because I have a established business, it's easy for me to put my money, any project money in my business account. So that way, every phase, we just take what we need for that phase and build. Whereas if you just pay a local that is a carpenter, you understand, say, build me 6 doors, here is the money. They get excited, use the money, take another project, and now they're just like playing games with you. So I learned that the hard way. So make sure pay them 25%, and then pay the 75 when they finish, or pay 50%, and when they finish, you pay the 50%. So yeah, building in phases, sourcing your materials directly if you have a trustworthy foreman, you understand, and then using modern, cost-effective designs. Use smart ways, maybe instead of using metals, for your roof. Maybe you can use like lumber and then cost, just reduce the cost. Maybe instead of using POP, maybe you can use something cheaper. You just have to think that way. Like for my exterior, my roofing canopy ceiling, I ended up just sourcing. I went to the locals and then let them cut me some sticks, and then we used that stick design to make my ceiling, and that saved me money and it looked beautiful. The final thing there, like ways to reduce cost, of course, without sacrificing quality, is finding you a right team. When you have the right team, they're professionals. They can give you the best estimate usually before you even start. You can shop around. They can give you ideas. They can be like, okay, this house is gonna be 400 square feet, for example. It's gonna cost you XYZ. But if you reduce it to the square footage, and then probably instead of having all bathrooms in this, now that a trusted team can help you make sound decisions. And make sure you have connections with your team. Build connections with the local shop owners who are selling like materials. Build connections with your masons. Build connections with your contractors. Build connections with the team. Ask questions. Make sure your job is being done the way you want it to be done. Okay, so that way you can reduce damages in the long run. Now that we've talked about the ways you can reduce cost and without sacrificing quality, let's talk about common money mistakes to avoid. The number one on that is going to be hiring the cheapest teams. When you hire the cheapest team, what's going to happen is it's going to be expensive in repair. Hire cheap, expensive in repair. So think about that. Next thing that I want you to think about to avoid common money mistakes is buying the cheapest, the low quality materials. A lot of people want to buy the lowest quality paint, the lowest quality cement, the lowest quality door, the lowest quality rebars. They don't buy the right size. The contractor will probably tell you buy a 5/8 rod. They will be like, oh, I want to buy the small kind. How much is the small? So you have to think of these things. When you're trying to save money today, it's gonna be expensive in repairs tomorrow. So think about these think about these mistakes, so that way you avoid them for your next project in 2025. From 2025 going forward, we don't want to be seeing these houses that are collapsing in Freetown. That's a no. Then the other common mistake, the money pit, is lack of planning. You understand? Lack of planning and supervision. Make sure you always plan. I think throughout all my videos, I talk about planning. What's the word? Proper planning prevents poor performance. So make sure you always plan before you even start the project. Make sure you plan. Before I build my house, I was planning and thinking and talking about my home, almost 1 or 2 years before I even started my project. So make sure you plan yourself before you do it. And I never rush my project. If I am not ready, I'm not ready. I will take a pause. I work in phases. And it's good for me because it is my team, it's my company that is building for me. And then sometimes if there's if we need to subcontract somebody else, we'll hire somebody else, and still they will work on my pace, my time, my pace. I pay them, and then I call them when I need them. You understand? So make sure you plan before you start any project, and make sure you supervise. And sometimes you can even there have been times where I will send my architect to go supervise. I will send other people that are professionals to go supervise. I will, bring people from Freetown to go supervise. I'll bring other roofers to go supervise my roof when they were building it. Sometimes it's uncomfortable for some of the builders, but this is what I want. I want quality. I want my work to come out good. So I made sure to supervise my work through video calls, through drone shots through videos every day. If they didn't send me video, I knew something was wrong, and then they're definitely gonna, hear from me. I always be like, okay, pause the work. I want to see what happened yesterday before you guys proceed. So make sure you're supervising, make sure you plan, and stay on top of your game. I'm not gonna end my video without talking about Mastersabbi, the company. So our pricing approach is very transparent. What we usually do is when we give you the consultation, when you reach out to us, what it's going to do is we ask you all the questions that you need to know. Once you answer this question, the square footage, the plan, what design you're looking for, how many bedrooms, all that information, once we have all of that, we're going to break down the price per square foot or meters. After we do all that for you, we send you a quote. When we send you the quote, we give you breakdowns for if you wanted to pay 25% first, if you wanted to pay phase by phase, if you wanted to pay 50%, if you wanted to pay 40%, 30%, we give you all these options in that same contract. We give you guys options, very transparent. We also have the option where you just buy the materials and then hand it to us, and then we do the building. Whatever is left over, we hand it back to you. No malpractice, integrity, durability, excellence, and quality. That's what we stand for. And my team does not play around. Anybody that comes to my team, even if we just hire you to come do something, like say come fix a staircase, and you try to take something, we're definitely going to have a talk with you. If you took that something, we're definitely going to make the police talk to you. So we always are very transparent with all our clients that we've worked with, that we are working with. Now, one thing I want you to know is we do offer a free quote, a free estimate if you message us at www.mastersabbi.com. We do offer you a free quote. Most of the clients that have messaged us, we got back to them within the hour, within 24 hours. We give them a quotation within 2 to 3 days, after they give us all the answers to the questions that we're going to give them. It's like an assessment. When you answer it, then we'll send you a quotation, and it's going to be free of cost. So please, and also please watch my other videos on planning before building. Please watch all of my videos that I've been posting before, if you haven't seen them yet. Very informative. Yeah, guys, I'll be doing my best to drop more videos. If you like this type of videos, please feel free to like, subscribe, share them to somebody that needs to hear them. I will try to make sure I break down and narrow the videos to probably 8 to 10 minutes. But for now, I'm just getting started with this YouTube thing. I'm not too used to it yet. So pardon me for maybe rambling or talking a lot. I'll make sure I put the information that is needed, because I want to make sure the clients are aware, especially for us, the diasporans, and again, the home base, the indigenes back in Sierra Leone. I want to make sure all of us are informed and educated before we make our move, because we need to plan our country. We need to plan our homes before we build them. We need safe homes. We don't want the houses that are falling just after one breeze, after one rain. We want to make sure everybody is safe in Sierra Leone. We want to make sure Sierra Leone continue to be the beautiful country that it already is. So thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.